fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rhythm outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my god!
Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
This is a place which is very, very unique. It is not often that you find yourself a road course and an oval course which are not combined. This is one of the few places where you can say that this track was purpose-built in mind for housing all styles of racing. And this place is the land of the rising sun. We are in Motegi, Japan. And from what was IndyCars on the oval, it is now your iRacing Grand Prix Series here on the road. It is 43 laps today, but the most important laps at the moment are qualifying ones because you got 2 laps. You got 8 minutes to make sure that you get these laps all together on what is a very, very all-encompassing style of circuit. Jake Sperry, Jay Kennedy here today for this one. And Jay, to bring you into the conversation, how does anybody stop number 1 Mark Usher? This track is slightly different compared to others in the fact that Japanese asphalt is very different. Might be a case that the setup has to be different to accommodate that today.
Yeah, 100%. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I think that is probably part of the factor, but such a unique track. The way that the track flows is very, very different to what we've seen in previous races as well. Lots of hairpin corners, less of those flowing corners like we saw last week at the Nürburgring. So setup is going to be very, very crucial. But Bush has been in a world of his own, hasn't he? So he is going to be very, very tough to beat. But Sanfilippo's both very, very quick as well. So if anyone's going to challenge, you probably would expect it to be those guys. Going to be interesting to see how it does play out, though, as Danilo Sanfilippo currently P1.
On a 124.5, he's 6 tenths clear of Clayton McLeod in second, Alex Ijuia in third position. So number 13, Alex Ijuia in third. So that's going to be interesting. Some drivers onto their first lap, some onto their second. Marco Sanfilippo jumps his brother by 4 tenths. That's been the story of this season so far. Marco's the quicker driver, but the more consistent, you definitely know, has been Danilo, and as such, he is second in the championship because of that at the moment without drop rounds being factored in. Here's Jerry McAreevy trying to make the push over to the line. Car number 2, Club UK and Ireland, and over the line a 1:30.3. That was an outlap. That was a banker there in 12th position. So Jerry McAreevy just getting himself up to speed with this style of vehicle.
Yeah, one thing that is interesting here too that we will have to talk about throughout some point of this race too is the pit entry as well. You can actually be very, very aggressive there, but in these cars you do have to be a bit careful cutting that pit entry a little bit too aggressively and damaging the car. So that's something that we will notice throughout the pit stops when they do come about at the midway point of this race. Those drivers that are looking for that extra 2/10 of a second advantage, they cut that pit entry a little bit more aggressively, as you've just seen something out there.
Yeah, I have. Alex Ijuia moving up into third. Jody Mills up to 4th position. Car number 10 making great progress. But here comes car number 1. Mark Usher through the final 3 corners using all of the grip and downforce that's available through that section. He was running incredibly wide trying to put the power down. He's got one more lap after this, but it's a 1:24.109. It's pole position for the moment again for Mark Usher right now. Like Sir Stefan Chantal up into 8th place at the moment. Jose Serpa in 6th right now, all looking to try and find improvements on those times. Stefan Piotrowski yet to set a time. Steve Giori, someone who's had a few technical issues to start here in qualifying. That's not going to help. Andreas Nielsen also looking for some times as well. They are going to be crucial. Piotrowski's first time over the line, a 27.3, needs to find more, does car 15.
Stefan Chantal will be the next driver to put in a lap time and do what he can do. Current PB 24.9. 24.9 is incredibly quick time around this circuit, but nearly a full second off that time of Mark Usher. That is such a good time that he's done at the moment. Incredibly quick, but this will be an improvement for Chantal. Going to jump up into P number 6. I was about to say P4, but that 4, 5, 6 area, that is really tight.
It is, and you've got 3 drivers split by exactly 300ths of a second right now out on track. Marigan there in 15th, Alex Aguirre there in 4th, as Jose Serpa abandons lap, as I believe that is Chantal doing okay. Serpa into 6th place as Mark Usher crosses the line and does 24.2, does not improve in terms of the time. So only drivers out there on track who can find an extra lap. Andreas Nielsen is one of them, and the other driver is Stefan Piotrowski, looking to dive down the hill into one of the prime overtaking opportunities, that right of turn number 10, turn 11 even, because you've got the flick of 12, then 13, and then the right of 14 here to end the lap. And Piotrowski nice and neat on that outside curve, long drag to the line, and a 24.9 is good enough for 9th place in this 20-car field. Splits a little bit lower here today. We know that this track is not necessarily a Grand Prix layout circuit, that does make life just that little bit tougher for some to really have that motivation to go and race. But Motegi, I think, is an absolutely perfect circuit in terms of its design, and there are so many Japanese tracks out there, Jay, that do that job. Suzuka does it, Okayama does it, you've got to talk about Tsukuba, Motegi, those are the 4 on the iRacing service. But I would even go as far as saying likes of Autopolis and Sportsland Sugo. Those are 2 other great tracks. Japan probably has some of the best circuits out there in the world.
Not just the tracks as well, the whole facilities are amazing there. And we were talking about that gap just before, how close it was when Chantal moved up. Additional Jose Serpa did jump in between those guys as well, so 4th through to 7th, separated by, what's that? 300ths. That's incredible. But everyone has done their laps.
They absolutely have, and this is how the grid will stack. So Mark Usher will be on pole position on a 124.109. He'll have Marco Sanfilippo alongside him. Danilo will start from 3rd. Then it's Alex Aguirre in 4th position with Jody Mills in 5th and Jose Serpa in 6th. 7th is Stefan Chantal. Clayton McLeod in 8th with Stefan Piotrowski 9th and Jan Hoffman in 10th. Row 6 is John Pat Kelly and David Cudmore with Jan Stratinsky and Adam Webb. Tamashane starting from 15th with Luis Marigan in 16th. Then you've got David Thomas and a surprisingly poor qualifying for Jerry McAreevy in car number 8 or in 18th place. And then the 2 drivers who didn't set times, Andreas Nielsen, who will be ahead of Steve Giori by the fact that he has the higher I rating out there today. It is iRating number 12 for Andreas Nielsen, number 14 for Steve Giori. That is why he will stay on behind. But crucially, you got to look at someone like Mark Usher at the moment. He has been impervious since the opening round. He's put 4 straight wins together, and he's looking to try and make that 5. He knows that Twin Ring wants to be his win ring, and he definitely does not want that to be his bin ring, Motegi. He knows exactly what he's capable of doing, and that is going and putting a performance. He's got the racing line into turn number 1, but the dirty inside line might favour Marco Sanfilippo here. If he can get it off that line quickly, he will have the inside for the long turn number 1 as the green flag drops, and let's get ourselves underway. Slow start from Mark Usher. Immediately, Marco Sanfilippo's got it. Usher tried to cover. He was too late. Danilo tried to go down the inside. He's not going to have it, but Marco has the jump then through turn number 1, and now all of a sudden side by side for 4th as Alex Aguirre now looking around, seeing Jody Mills there. On the brakes they go into the next left-hander, this 90-degree section to open up the lap around the outside. Trying that one from Aguirre, not going to happen. Jody Mills staying in place. McLeod and Serpa now fighting here, Jay, as they head to the second sector.
What a start from Sanfilippo as well. Amazingly short run. It's deceptively short, that run to turn 1, and I think that might have caught Mark Usher a little bit off guard there too. So Usher's going to have to work hard to try and take this lead back. But that mid-pack battle looks like it's going to be very, very heated. As we saw, qualifying incredibly close, 4th through to 8th battle pack is going to be one to watch throughout this race.
And you're going to see it now, how that draft is going to be crucial down the hill. This is the highest point of the circuit. This hairpin very slow. And you have to carry as much momentum as possible through a corner where you feel like you can take it quicker than you actually do as they run down the hill for the first time on the brakes into the right-hander of turn 10. The track always falling away from you, and Serpa close. So was also there Jan Hoffman, who's had a good start trying to attack Clayton McLeod for position. Hoffman has not been able to put the results together so far this season, but this might just be the place to kick-start it. And just as I say that, well, there's a curse. He has a huge kick through the final corner.
That wasn't a kick start, that was a kick sideways, and a little bit of dust on this circuit. That is one thing about this circuit. You talked about the surface earlier. It is incredibly dusty and very, very slippery, this surface. So you do need to make sure you keep it on the circuit and you keep it on the racing line. If you do drift offline or use the curbs a little bit too aggressively, especially in these cars, you can see the way that they're not using the curbs at all. That will help you keep it on the track. Use the curbs in the slightest little way. That can put you around. So these guys have got to be very, very careful. You can already see the dust getting cleared off the racing line.
Absolutely, you can at the moment. Jose Serpa chasing down Alex Aguirre here for what is 5th position on the road right now. There's some fantastic battling going on at every point here in this field, and something we haven't talked about here today, Jay. Track conditions. It's a cold 19 degrees. These tyres are so prone when they are cold. Early stages going to be vital for getting them up to temps.
Yeah, very, very early start. We were talking before about, before we came live, that this track is an amazing circuit and facility for night racing. I've never seen a race here done so early in the morning. A sunrise start for these drivers, racing before 7 a.m. So that will be catching a few drivers off guard as well. As you said, trying to get heat into the tyres is going to be a little bit more difficult than what we've seen, especially last round where we raced afternoon conditions in Germany. So the drivers will be trying to take a little bit more caution, especially in the midfield, to get those heat in the tyres. But I'll tell you who isn't worrying about that is Marco Sanfilippo. He's flying at the front of the field.
Absolutely is. 1:26 flat compared to a 26.1 by Mark Usher. So Marco Sanfilippo, fastest lap of anybody that last time through. Pack behind or in front of Stefan Chantal in 10th place. Stretches all the way up to 4th and Jody Mills. But look at Jose Serpa. He was all over the back of Alex Aguirre, heading through the left and the right-hand section out on track, hoping that there was going to be something there. That was not forthcoming. Worth also noting a lap ago, John Pat Kelly having a spin at that exact same section. That dropped him all the way down to the back of the field. But what is very crucial right now here, Jay, is all about making sure that every position is fought for hard at this stage. It's 43 laps. That pit window is going to be opening somewhere around lap 21 to about lap 28, lap 29, even as far as lap 30. Some drivers may think about making that pit stop.
Jet out to Steve Giori, already up 6 places, started from last place on the grid, already up into 14th. So great start. Oh no, Webb.
Cudmore and Webb both off. 2 separate incidents there. Heading through that left. Adam Webb all on his own, could not get the transfer, and then almost in sympathy there, David Cudmore decided to do his best Adam Webb impersonation. Both of them back onto track, but look at where they have been joined back in, right in the middle of this. Marrigan's got past everyone, but David Thomas now has to defend off Adam Webb.
Also just noticed John Pat Kelly has come back into the pits. He actually started from pit lane, so he has not had the best start of the race.
Look at this, Jan Hoffman. Chantal's got down the inside there at turn 4 and through the big long right at 5. That is going to be a comfortable move done from Chantal. Now through the sweepers, the lefts and the right. They become so crucial. And in fact, you could say at this point in time, Chantal's now just got to go through the machine one at a time. Piotrowski will be next for him as he looks to try and chase down as many positions as he can in this field.
Yes, Stefan Chantal's been one of the biggest movers we've seen throughout the racing of this season so far, so he'll be wanting to make some moves as quick as he can. But Hoffman's almost thought about coming back there, not quite close enough, but Jan Hoffman as well, another driver that we've seen be very, very consistent throughout this season so far. So these two will be probably almost thinking about trying to work together in some ways to catch up to the back Piotrowski and maybe make a move. One thing I've noticed here in this race is that the field is not spread anywhere near as much as we've seen in other races. Even the leader in San Filippo has not been able to break away from Mark Usher. Normally we'd see at this phase of the race it may be out to a 2 or 3 second advantage, and then that from there rubber band between 1 and 3 seconds, but it has not gone out any further than 1 second. Very, very unusual for this race, for these races so far.
Absolutely. Marco Sanfilippo definitely wasn't the quickest man overall in practice, but he wasn't either in qualifying. He's now working hard to make sure that this race is in his wheelhouse as he looks to try and go on forward. He leads over Mark Usher with Danilo Sanfilippo there in third, who is closer in the championship at the moment than what Marco is. But this has been the key for Danilo Sanfilippo's run in this championship. He has been ever so consistent, constantly picking up podium after podium. Sometimes it's all you need to do in an iRacing official series just like this. Know that podiums to start with give you the base to go out and attack the final 4 rounds.
Exactly right. Very, very interesting second half of the schedule as well, which there are a few tracks that we will see a fair bit of aggression on. All former Formula 1 circuits, the next 4, or current or Formula 1 circuits, the remainder of the season. So Circuit of the Americas, Indianapolis, Barcelona, Monza, Interlagos and Suzuka to finish off. So very, very interesting second half of the season, which would mean that a lot of these drivers that are a little bit more familiar to these cars and are a little bit more experienced in these cars over time, the likes of Clayton McLeod, it's been a staple of this championship for a long time. Those races play into those sort of drivers towards the second half of the season. So Sanfilippo, both of the Sanfilippos really need to attack at this phase. While they've got the opportunity to get some big points, they need to take them right now.
Yeah, you've got to strike while the iron's hot, and Adam Webb very nearly lost the iron altogether as he had a slide coming out to turn 3 into 4. So that was always going to be tough as he was heading through that section of road. He just caught the grass on the outside, and that is where that all started to fall apart for him. He's still on the back of that train at the moment, but he's a little bit further back off of Thomas Marrigan and David Cudmore at this point in time. The battle still on here. It's a 6-car scrap at the moment for 5th place. Alex Aguirre is just keeping Jose Serpa at an arm's length, but he's not going to do much there if you're going to run wide. And all of a sudden, the opportunity knocking here for Jose Serpa, closing the gap back down in here, heading towards turn number 1. And again, not quite there, able to make that happen. It's a stop-starting place for the opening of the lap. The midsection is all about that aerodynamic ability, and then you've got that high-speed final section. It is very much what it's going to be like for COTA next week here, Jay. It's going to be a case of, what on earth are we doing with this setup?
Yeah, you just a very, very neutral setup needed next week for sure, because you've got so many different styles of corner later on in the season when we head to the likes of Monza and places like that. Probably see a little bit less downforce, a little bit more high speed, but next week is going to be very, very tough, and drivers that prepare well will find themselves doing a good job. So I think we're going to see a lot of drivers straight into practice as soon as this race finishes for next week, because they'll be wanting to get as many points as they can. Circuit of the Americas, one of the talk about the Vegemite of sim racing. Well, I think the Vegemite of tracks is definitely Circuit of the Americas. You absolutely love it or you absolutely hate it. And there's no in between with Circuit of the Americas, is there?
No, I absolutely love that circuit. I know so many people who absolutely despise it with a passion. Nielsen did get through on Steve Giori. We saw that down the inside at the right hand of Giori, getting well out of the way there of Nielsen. He knew better than to go out there and to go and attack at that point in time. But I've been keeping an eye out on Jody Mills' lap times, and at the moment 1:28 flat. That was at least 1.5 seconds slower last time by. I was wondering if there was a mistake, and there absolutely was through the final corner for Jody Mills, getting far too deep on that final section, using that little jut there, a little bit of asphalt to head out onto the oval. That was where Jody Mills was able to power back down again, and all of a sudden now has to try and regather that time in the number 10. because Alex Ahuia is only 1.1 seconds back.
I'll tell you who looks really racy in this pack is Stefan Chantal. He's got some good pace, just can't quite get close enough in that dirty air to the back of Stefan Piotrowski. So Piotrowski now has to be a little bit careful from what's going on behind. You can see under brake, Stefan Chantal looks a lot better than Stefan Piotrowski. So this is going to be an interesting little fight here. I mean, the big thing with that is Chantal, once he gets through, if he can get through, where does he go from there? There's not really anywhere to go. So in some ways, it might be better just to hang back, save some fuel, save some tyres, and try and get that massive overcut. We know overcut is key in this series, so being able to run 1, 2, 3 extra laps might be the key to winning this race or gaining big bulks of time.
Piotrowski there in the dirty air, struggling to put the power down. That is a very tentative and squirrely looking Williams Toyota FW31 as they make their way towards turn 3 out on track. Chantal, big lunge down to the inside. The door not open there, and now puts himself in Schrodinger's overtake because Jan Hoffman wanted the ability to go out there and attack, and ultimately not close enough to draft, helping Chantal once again. This is the issue of a 6-car pack. The moment you start attacking, that pack is gone.
Yeah, that gap stretched out from 2 tenths out to 7 tenths, 8 tenths, and growing. Speaking of gaps as well, the gap at the front has dropped to under a second. So Mark Ruscher starting to close in, so we need to keep one eye on that. But this battle here is very, very enthralling because you can tell that at the front of the pack, they are getting held up, but there's just no way through at the moment. So they're also evenly matched. You know, it only takes 1/10 of a second off pace for the pack to get brought together with the draft, but 1/10 of a second faster isn't enough to get moves done. So this is going to be a real big game of chess here. I can see this getting a little bit heated in another 3 or 4 laps.
I'd say S-word here, Jay, and that S-word is strategy. That might just be the key to winning this race. It might be who goes longest, but sometimes over one lap you might have that chance as Luis Maragán there under so much pressure from David Thomas. This is right back in the pack, 15th, 16th at the moment, and David Thomas has not relinquished any pressure at the moment. He's up 1 place so far today, 17th up to 16th. Same for Luis Maragán, but these two having their own scrap at the moment, doing mid-127s at the moment. Comparing that to the race leaders right now, they're about 2 seconds a lap slower.
A bit worried about what you were talking about there when you said the S word. I was like, oh, I don't know what word you're talking about there, but yeah, strategy is definitely... I was a bit worried you were going to take us off the air with another S word.
Oh, no.
No, I know you wouldn't do that intentionally. Anyway, yeah, strategy will be key, but you're right, pace is incredibly different pack to pack, and I mean, you get guys that may be on the back of the train and just lose the draft, they're going to drop a second a lap too, because the draft is so strong around this circuit because there are such big straight areas. They're not necessarily the longest straights, but they're enough to keep people together. And there's lots of stop-starts with long straights or decent length straights between. So this is going to be a draft track. And maybe by lap 15, when the tyres start to show some effect, we'll start to see whether people's setups in regards to the way that the cars are drafting too will start to have a factor. But Piotrowski now looks like the most likely to get a move done.
Look at this. Going to go to the inside here at turn 3 to try and get this one done. Oh, it's exactly what happened with Stefan Chantal just a couple of laps earlier, trying to get past Piotrowski. Tried to go for the inside, no commitment to do so. And then Chantal just easing up onto the rear, is unable to do so because of the draft. Wide goes McLeod though, and through the right of turn 6, under the oval banking and up the hill. This might be Piotrowski's chance if he looks to the inside, and no, he could not commit to that inside line. McLeod with all the experience, it's a Canada sandwich right now for Piotrowski.
Great fight, and you can just see Jan Hoffman there almost dropped back a 10th of a second or so, just in case something happened. Knew that he could get that time back. So Hoffman playing very, very strategic and smart here. Dropping back, making sure that there's no incident ahead. If there is, got enough time to react and avoid, as opposed to being tucked right under that rear wing. So very, very smart driving there from Hoffman. But Piotrowski now His pace has come from almost nowhere, because you think back to 2 laps ago, he was the one that was causing those guys behind to be almost held up. Now you can see McLeod's the one that's not able to hang on. And Aguirre at the front is starting to break away a tiny little bit.
Yes, he is, and that's crucial here for Alex Aguirre right now. 1:26.7 that last time by. Didn't really actually gain anything. There were almost identical lap times between himself and Jose Serpa, but the gap's 9/10 at the moment between them. The crucial thing is that Jody Mills, no idea if it's a male or female driver. All I know is Club UK and Ireland. Jody has pulled away here. Another 3/10 on that lap and brings the gap to 3.2 seconds. So a good buffer margin in 4th place. Serpa now looks like looking behind at this moment in time. Clayton McLeod still there. Had a very good run actually through turn 4 towards turn 5 there, did McLeod. And suddenly it becomes a 5.5 car train because Aguirre's pretty much 1 foot out the door.
Yeah, it's got the gap over a second now. So gone from being nose to tail to 1.2 seconds. And now Serpa looks like the most likely to get past just based on pace. So now that the draft is not helping Jose Serpa at the front of the field, or front of this train, Serpa could be the most vulnerable now. I've lost the draft. Heard from drivers that it's somewhere between 7/10 and 1.2, 1.3 seconds, track dependent as to what the draft is. Serpa is now 1.2 seconds back, so that's probably draft gone around this circuit. McLeod, Piotrowski, Chantal, all ready to pounce.
They absolutely are, but I want to pay some attention to 3rd place right now ever so quickly. Danilo Sanfilippo has matched to the 1,000th of a second, Jay, Mark Usher in front.
Very, very quick times from both of those guys.
Chantal, getting so close there with Chantal. Sorry to cut your thunder off like that, but Chantal had a big lunge down to the inside at turn 3, couldn't get it done.
Yeah, this pack once again closes up. What I was going to say there, the pace that Usher and Sanfilippo had, as you said, almost identical lap times, doesn't mean anything when
exactly
the leader
identical.
is... Oh, yeah, exactly. Thousandths of a second. Doesn't matter much when the leader is breaking away by an extra 1/10 of a second over them. So the top 3, though, are absolutely in a class of their own at the moment, which is incredible to see. I mean, no surprise, because they have been in a class of their own all season, along with Chris Owen, we've seen up there when he's been able to make the races. Of course, having some tech issues last week, so out for a little while. Also noticed Blake Caswell not here tonight as well, or today as well, as Cudmore off the circuit.
Oh no, so David Cudmore's run himself into troubles. That's down at turn 9 out on track. So heading through that left-hand bend, it's 120 degrees, trying to put the power down. Easy for the wheels to really rev up and over-torque, and round he went. And David Cudmore finds himself now behind David Thomas at the moment out on track. Something else that I've caught just a little bit of a mind right now is that Adam Webb's dropped back in the last couple of laps behind Luis Maragán now. He finds himself, so that's crucial in terms of this. Down the inside though, Chantal's trying to get the job done here on Piotrowski, but he's not giving up here. Can hold that line around the outside. We'll have the inside at 5. I think Chantal needs to lift to dive back for the inside, but there's going to be no room to do that. It's going to have to go the long way round here of this turn 5, and there's 2 big issues there. Chantal hits the brakes, and Hoffman was scared and hit the brakes as well.
Yep, and that's lost all of that momentum that those guys have had, and been another incident at the exact same time, which we're going to replay in just a second, because we were just talking about Adam Webb. Had a little off-see.
Well, here's Adam Webb having an off-see as well, and he ran straight into the back of Luis Maragán through turn number 3, and Maragán made the mistake. Nowhere for Adam Webb to go, and it was a case of, well, Batman, you need a little bit more if you need to get away by. So for Adam Webb, he's now dropped back and lost the position to David Cudmore. I wonder if he's got big damage on that machine, as he will look to try and push forward the longer that this race does go on. We are on lap 15, ladies and gentlemen, here out of 43 right now. We are very quickly heading towards that halfway stage in this race, and what's crucial is, right now, the fastest man last time by was Danilo Sanfilippo by a full 0.3 of a second.
And the lap previous to that, Mark Usher set a new fastest lap of the race. So those 3 at the front are all working together in regards to pace, but it is looking like it's race done for Adam Webb. that damaged front wing. Well, it's now stuck in a tyre bundle. There's only
Oh,
3
no.
wheels on the ground. And I think that's done.
Oh, has completely done a Max Spance Lorenzo Bonder. There you see it going through the left on the brakes, trying to be a little too aggressive. It's a tough chicane through that section and into the tyres, and out goes Adam Webb. Now that's the issue that you see from that. You'd normally see that other pit entry there coming out of the final corner go on through, but of course they're running what I would call a GT style pit lane, or rather than a Formula 1 style pit lane.
Yeah, and that was sort of what I was talking about earlier, is that you've got to be really careful on your aggression into the pit lane as well. You can actually cut the corner and sacrifice yourself a 1x incident point on your pit entry, but yeah, I don't know if you want to be too aggressive in these cars. And remember that we were just talking before about that 6-car battle that had broken up? Well, it's back together, but there's something else going on. It is on for the lead. Where has this come from? Sanfilippo is in trouble. Mark Usher's there, ready to pounce.
Well, that gap's come down to 0.2 of a second, so Mark Usher's found the lap. It was a mistake down at turn 11 then for Marco Sanfilippo. He got the rear out, and there was the issues going through, and now heading towards turn 9. Mark Usher's all over in the mirrors, hoping there's a chance. There also is Danilo Sanfilippo, seeing his brother having to defend right now. When you've got a teammate, especially a brother as well, you can maybe coordinate trying to defend a little bit better. Marco's got to work here right now, and they can see the curves in full effect on full defense through this section. The toughest braking zone on the track is this one. Mark Usher not close enough this lap by on lap 16.
Not quite close enough, but the pressure I think will be starting to mount here. And this is going to be a real test of character here for Marco Sanfilippo. Danilo Sanfilippo behind, he'll be happy just to watch, sit back and watch. And yeah, exactly. And in a way, probably hoping that there's an incident. I mean, he wouldn't want his brother to get taken out, but, you know, if something happens and he manages to slip through and Marco comes back on the track in second, I'm sure he wouldn't be too upset. But he'll be just sitting back watching.
Yeah, he certainly will be, and I'm pretty sure that Mark Usher is not going to try and jeopardise his race here. He hasn't lost a race since the opening round at Imola. On the brakes into turn 5. Not quite there at the moment is Mark Usher, but he knows that the pit stop window is approaching. He knows that he who drives longer drives fastest around in this vehicle. So at the moment, he's dealing with so much dirty air through that left-right section. It does not set up a move in through here, but it's next right that has to be really opened up. And how narrow is Mark Usher through that corner? They do have lack traffic coming up though in a little bit. Also keep an eye on Clayton McLeod right now here in the scrap 5th, 6th, 7th at the moment. McLeod was all over Jose Serpa heading up towards turn 7, but again, dirty air effect comes into play.
The dirty air is just making it so difficult to make moves. Pit lane is where we're going to see all of these positions shuffle out, but Guaya's definitely holding this group up for sure. And from Guaya to Hoffman is less than 3 seconds, so to have all of these cars in such a close little pack, I must say it would be very, very tough for Hoffman to be able to use any grip in that car, because there'd be so much dirty air. Being 6th car back, that would not be a fun place to drive. I mean, good to watch and learn from, but have a look as well. It's about to be a 7-car battle, which will make it even more spicy.
Yeah, there's Tamas Shane there, 1:25.9 that last time by, was a tenth slower. That gap 2 seconds between Hoffman and Shane, and this is the key. Jan Hoffman, in terms of closing this pack up, is the fastest man in that pack, but he's 6th in the pack. And when you've got to try and deal with 5 cars draft to try and get by, when you've only got X amount of straight, and you do hit the rev limiter in these vehicles on the long straights right at the end because you're going downhill, it's such a tough place to go out and make some overtakes. You almost hope that you wish you had a 2019, 2020 style Formula 1 vehicle which has that 8th gear.
Yeah, exactly right. And I must say that Usher's probably struggling exactly the same down the hill, and you can see just hitting the limiter, just as you said. Interesting too, I wonder if Hoffman is actually taking this opportunity to maybe save a dash of fuel too, because I think Hoffman really needs to make sure that his pit stop is a lot shorter, just take in that less fuel, get those 4 tyres and get out there. If he can gain a second in the pit stops, that'll be a huge advantage. But here we go. Fastest lap time again for Marco Sanfilippo. 24.9.
Well, there's the fuel numbers coming down, and that is where most of the time comes in this race. Oh, Piotrowski makes a mistake at the final corner. Chantal's going to pick one up. Will Jan Hoffman around the outside as he wants to try and gain up one more place up into 9th overall. No room at turn 2 to make that happen. He was searching for that, but Piotrowski just like that through the final corner on the power. Nope, back steps out. There's a place gone. And again, having to defend in turn 3. No issues. Now look at McLeod. What a run McLeod's got through 4 on the run up to 5. Can he get it done on the outside to make this happen? Or is he going to try and nit one and purl one back again on Serpa? Serpa's wise to it. He's not getting the move done there.
Good driving from Jose Serpa just to hold the middle line and force McLeod to not be able to get that over-under, which over-under I thought Hoffman had it done, but great driving from Piotrowski to hold on to that spot and only lose one in the end. Stefan Chantal now also, now that he's clear of Piotrowski, he's starting to look to make moves now too. He's trying to get past Clayton McLeod as quickly as he can. This is a great fight between these now legitimately 7 cars, which you can see Emerson just behind is there in this battle now too.
Yes, he is, and that's going to be key. So Shane's got to work hard here to get back. Another great run here from Stefan Chantal through the final 2 corners then. 13, 14, wide goes McLeod, and now it's Canada against Canada as they head themselves towards turn number 1 once again, but Chantal could not put the power down quick enough to get the move done through 1 and 2. 2 90-degree corners that do feel a little bit like a hairpin. Same with 3 and 4. It's a mirror reverse as you head through that section of road. Thought about the inside, thought better of it. Something to keep in mind, pit stop window very quickly approaching here, Jay, but it's the track temp that needs talking about. It's risen 2 degrees since the start of this race up to 21. Now you're starting to wonder if that track temp continues to rise, which it will do as the sun rises here in Japan. This is going to be issues for drivers who want quick outlaps because their times are going to be even slower than those who will be staying out on the older tyres.
Yes, that might bring the undercut back into play a tiny little bit, because if you pit early enough, your cold tyres won't be as bad as someone else's cold tyres. So, it's making the strategy game very, very interesting. Do you pit now and risk an undercut? The likes of Piotrowski now think, well, I'm only going to lose maybe 1, maybe 2 spots by pitting early, but the potential gain is 5 spots. Do I come in now after making that mistake and have a go at it?
That might...
Hoffman, I think, will go as late as he can because, everything to gain by doing the overcut. But Piotrowski's in the spot. He's already lost the spot. I think Piotrowski might be the one that does the undercut attempt, and then we'll have an idea.
Or, everyone can come in on exactly the same lap and have a battle of pit crews. And when you've got 6 cars coming in at the same time onto pit lane, Jay, what's the one thing you don't want? And that answer would be, I'm sure someone messes up pit entry, everyone else suffers.
Yep. And we've already seen the 1-from-1 pit entry attempt that we've seen in this race so far has ended badly. I know John Pat-Kelly's been in for a second pit stop, started in pit lane and come in and get a nose cone change as well. But the one that we actually watched was a failed pit entry as well. So we've seen it so many times throughout the years at this circuit on this layout that pit entry, more often than not, ends in disaster around this circuit just because of how aggressive you do have to approach that pit entry. So, I'm intrigued to see what happens here. I think we're going to see about lap 26, we'll start to see pit stops happen. We might see, right on cue, pit stops are happening at the front of the field. I'll just shut up.
Jody Mills comes in from 4th. Jerry McAreevy is 1 lap down. Ahuya comes in from 5th place. This is key. So Ahuya, who's at the front of that pack, is going to come in first. So those 2 are going to make their stops. Nobody else decided to come in. Here comes Hoffman looking at turn number 1. He's not going to find anything. So now you need a bit of fresh air and some time to go out there and really put those laps in. Out comes McAreevy. It's been a long stop for Jody Mills, but Jody gets away. And then you got Alex Ahuya, who is not a million miles behind.
Yeah, much shorter stop too. Ran about 4 seconds quicker. So interesting there. I'm wondering if Mills has taken a full tank of fuel rather than enough fuel to get the car home. So 4 seconds is a long, long time in these cars to lose. And that means what the gap between them was about 6 seconds. You can see now it's very, very close. Only 2.5 seconds. And speaking of close, Mark Bush has closed that gap back up again. It was out to a second, and it's now back to nothing.
Exactly, it happens just like that. Sometimes you take a few laps, you make sure that the engine gets cooled, and you go out there and you go and attack once again. And maybe that's what we're seeing Mark Usher, Marco Sanfilippo at the moment as they go on and start what is going to be lap 23 of this race. And they really want to make sure they're going through. Luis Maragán has made his stop.
No.
He's going to come out and away. Oh, my word.
Chantal around. Contact between...
There's Stefan Chantal at turn 10, turn 11. He had the inside, got caught on the curb a little bit, and that was a case of one into the other, and Chantal, oh dear me, there's the stop coming now because the front and the rear are both going to be T and total. Hoffman and Shane both in side by side on the lane.
Now, I think Hoffman's decided to come in and take advantage of that incident, knowing that those other guys were going to pit.
He ran into the back.
Oh, no, he ran into the back. So, yeah, he's got front end damage too. So, I did miss that on the initial look at that. So, Hoffman come in, gets a fresh nose cone. And remember, Serene, big winner out of this, gains 1, 2, 3 spots.
Exactly what he needed there going through. So Thomas Shane jumps Hoffman ahead of Cudmore and ahead of Steve Giori as well. So that's going to be crucial in terms of this. Now, Hoffman hasn't got himself up to temperature, so Cudmore was going to be close. And also the leaders now close to battling. In comes race leader Marco Sanfilippo. Crucially comes in with John Pat Kelly, who's a lap down, or about to be now as well. So Marco Sanfilippo blinks first in this race. Mark Usher's got to find the Nigel Mansell red 5 laps.
Very, very interesting to see that happen. And looks like everyone that was involved in that incident has been able to get back out there without losing huge chunks of time. Sanfilippo out, 8-second pit stop. Very, very good stop there for Marco Sanfilippo. But Mark Usher now has to respond. This has to be, if Usher does not pit this lap, this really has to be the fastest lap of the race right now.
Traffic, it's David Thomas, and this is not what Mark Usher wants to see. Traffic really hurting through this very quick section. Thomas is going to just about get out of the way of him there through turn number 9, and all of a sudden Danilo Sanfilippo is going to be closing down that gap as well. Don't count him out of this race. He's definitely got enough to give in terms of the way that he's been running ever so consistent. He makes his way out and he will use all of that draft and curves to make his way by, and will do so, but he's going to have to try and say, no, I want to go back in line here. We'll learn your place, David Thomas, as he hits the brakes into the right. Are there takers this time?
Oh, no!
Onto lane. Usher's around under the bridge. We saw it just like that. The pressure, it did tell. Got himself over the power too early, and Mark Usher is now out, and that is a big change for the championship.
Wow, that's just thrown this championship wide open again. Marco Sanfilippo, who has just come in. Usher, as was said, we needed to basically purple that lap. He probably had a little bit of red mist after getting held up that tiny little bit by David Thomas. That Danilo Sanfilippo comes in, but that is huge. And it's turned from a win to a bin for Mark Usher. And that's what this season's been. It's either been win or bin. Usher,
and that
2 races that he hasn't DNF'd.
And that's an issue here right now. Look at Danilo Sanfilippo. Oh, he got out of the way of Clayton McLeod. Oh, that's so interesting right now because they have come out right in the middle of this pack. Marco Sanfilippo is just clear of Jose Serpa, so he's got a whole stop over Serpa. But this is crucial right now because Danilo Sanfilippo is slower than everyone who has yet to come, and that includes Stefan Piotrowski in that as well. So that's going to be something to keep in mind at the moment as this continues on here in terms of the racing right now. It is Marco Sanfilippo who's got the lead over his brother Danilo, but crucially you look at this on track, Danilo has fallen behind Stefan Piotrowski as well, knowing he is slower at this point in time.
I'm still blown away by what just happened there. I'm still surprised. And I mean, yeah, I'm dumbfounded. I don't know what to say. I mean, we know that this track can throw curveballs. We've seen it every single time we're here, but see Mark Usher make a mistake at that point. I mean, we knew he was going to be pushing hard, but even still, I did not see that coming at all. Incredible.
Well, this is the thing here, Jay, about that incident as Piotrowski comes in and pits. That was so late in terms of the way that the tyre spun up and spat him out there into the inside wall. You'd have expected that the grip would have been there. That would have been the last gear change he would have been concerned about.
Yeah, it's very, very bizarre spin there. And it wasn't even that he had two wheels on the ripple strip or anything. It was just a bizarre spin. Serpa and McLeod, here we go.
Well, look at this. Piotrowski's come out just behind Jody Mills. So this suddenly puts everything into perspective right now, side by side. There goes McLeod trying to get the inside. He's got to get a long way around this contact. Round goes Clayton McLeod into the kitty litter. And just like that, positions will be lost in terms of this one. There was that little bit of uncertainty there. Will come out just ahead of John Pat Kelly. Definitely now going to be a pit, but you cannot apportion blame in that one. Those two are fighting hard through the left-right transfers.
That was just tough, hard racing, and one of those incidents that you just know will happen at some point. You just don't want to be the person that's involved. Yeah, as you said, you definitely can't put blame on Serpa there. That was just two cars into one spot, both trying to race hard and just not quite as aware of how close they were at that point as McLeod comes into the pits.
Well, this will be crucial then.
Wow.
See how long Clayton McLeod will go. How much damage, actually, Clayton McLeod has after that sort of hit, because that will be right on the side pod. So we'll see if there are any required or optionals that he may be taking. There's Mills going through. Piotrowski right behind and has actually jumped Alex Ahuia in the stop. So that is a huge stop in terms of comparison. McLeod out and away. He will try and go right now. He's got to wait for the green cone. There it is. And he will fall behind Andreas Nielsen outside now into 10th place. So we're into 9th place even. So Clayton McLeod back in 9th. Nielsen's up to 8th. Shane now up in 7th. Is one of your biggest movers and shakers in the field, along with Steve Fiori, who is up 9 places here today in this race. Question now becomes, when will Serpa pit? Where will Serpa come out? Because if you look at Stefan Piotrowski right now, he is within 1.1 seconds of Jody Mills.
Biggest mover in the field, though, is Andreas Nielsen. Up 11 spots at the moment. P8 started way back in the field, so Nielsen doing a very, very good job. But Piotrowski actually closing on this lap. It's now down to half a second, so Piotrowski is well and truly on a charge. And also you can see the difference in the overcut there too with Clayton McLeod. Even with that off, came out 3 seconds ahead of Jan Hoffman. Remember, they were in that battle together before the pit stop started. So interesting how much of an advantage there was there for McLeod over Hoffman.
Exactly, and remember, Hoffman had to change his
Mills.
front nose at the stop, and Mills, oh my, going off at the final corner a little bit there. There is a little bit of issues there. Catches the curve a bit too fine on the inside and has to escape to the kitty litter to get back going. And remember how Mills had that very long stop and probably overfilled the car. Every litre of fuel, Jay, is a 1/10 of a second. Is that the case right now here for Jody Mills, who, after coming out, has been doing 126s, 127s consistently? Compare that with the likes of Alex Ahuia, who is very much matching in the low to mid 127s. This is a scrap for position now between car 13 and car 10.
And Aguirre will be looking to get some positions as well. Of course, down 2 from where started 4th. Qualifying time was a fair bit away. 28, so 15 to go. It was a long way ahead. Remember, Aguirre was, 6 seconds ahead of that pack earlier on. So now way back in the field. Be looking to get some positions as soon as he can.
In comes Jose Serpa then to take his one and hopefully only stop then in this race. Hits his marks, up on the jacks goes for the tyres, comes back down with the fuel as well. Should be going very, very swiftly and does so right now. Needs to get up to speed fast. Here's Piotrowski trying to make the charge. What a run, and they can see behind again Jody Mills running off the circuit. Same place. 2 laps, as well as Tamashani going through. Crucially, Serpa's ahead of Piotrowski, but again, Jody Mills, as we caught it on the Motum replay.
Well, I'm not even going to show the replay because it's absolutely identical to the last one. There's no point. It's exactly the same again. Jody Mills just too much oversteer through the left-hander, taking too much curb, car unsettling, and did a good job to hold on, but another spot. Zono's done fantastic after the pit stops, but yes, Serpa's in making moves.
He's lost
now.
the place.
Yeah, has.
He's lost the place. Piotrowski around the outside of turn 5 has got it done. What a run out of 4 that Piotrowski had, and the cold tyres are really hurting here. Jose Serpa, they do take a lap to get up to speed, and now you can see Serpa, who now has to try and get himself up into that place. Piotrowski all of a sudden is on the podium after starting today in 9th place.
What a drive for Piotrowski. Remember, it wasn't that long ago that Piotrowski was in trouble and we thought Piotrowski was going to get passed. Was passed at one point after a big mistake. So Piotrowski now, I think you said to Piotrowski 15 laps ago, hey, you're going to be in P3 after the pit stop phases. He would have laughed at that, thought there's no hope I'm going to be that high. A fantastic recovery.
It absolutely has been. There have been a lot of circumstances which has brought that P3 along. Many of them, Mark Usher is one of them. You look back, Jan Hoffman is another. What's been happening to Jody Mills? That's another scenario that's been going on. McLeod's issues, Hoffman's issues, and crucially of all, Stefan Chantal's issues, which puts him in 12th place, down 5 places today. There have been quite a few issues, but only 1 retirement from this race, the championship leader.
Another overtake. Hoffman is now through on McLeod, and I believe McLeod's made a mistake up into turn 3. Pick it up on the Motum replay, but or was this actually a good move here from Hoffman? It was. Hoffman up the inside. Beautiful outbraking move. Forces McLeod a little bit wide.
Well, McLeod went a little wide, but not only that, McLeod was not confident enough to put the power down. The car was trying to snap on him, so had to lift out of the throttle and give Jan Hoffman that place for what is the final spots inside the top 10. McLeod, another mistake right now, and this will allow Steve Giori the chance to close down that gap. Also got this one, Jody Mills, pretty much out of the frying pan and into the fire right now. Andreas Nielsen wants 7th place.
Yeah, Nielsen, remember, started way back in the field on the last row of the grid and is now up into P7, looking at, P8, looking at P7. So this is a fantastic drive from Nielsen. Ruing that didn't get a decent qualifying run in, will Andreas Nielsen. Because
he would have been right in the thick of this.
Might have been on for a podium just based on the pace.
But he's not a million miles away from that at the moment. He's only 10 seconds down the road right now, and is actually only a handful of tenths of a second slower right now. So needs to get by Jody Mills, needs to get by quickly at the moment. But as we have seen up and down this field, some good battling has been going on. Likes of Chantal Giori, one of the closer battles out there at the moment. The gap between them, 7/10 of a second in the fight for 11th.
Yes, Stefan Chantal, recovery drive. Have a look at that rear wing for Stefan Chantal. That is destroyed after that incident earlier. Jan Hoffman ran into the rear and he ran into the front of Piotrowski. Piotrowski's got lucky out of that, obviously, because Piotrowski in the 3rd. Stefan Chantal's dropped back and Hoffman dropped back, but Stefan Chantal, that car looks very, very second-hand, but still got some good pace in it because up the inside, moved done.
Yeah, moved done very, very quickly. So Steve Giori then, and again, it's that corner. It's the right-hander of turn 10. A little nose to the inside and letting Chantal through. Steve Giori is trying to finish this race more rather than fight for his places. He knows better than to go out there and attack. Remember, some drivers in this field will be fighting a lot more than for championship points. iRacing and safety rating always on the line in iRacing official series such as this one.
Yeah, of course, you do have to be a little bit more careful too. Being an A licensed driver, you've got to be a little bit more careful in how liberal you are in your use of your 1X off-track incidents. Some drivers are a little bit more cautious on pit entry, knowing that they could give those up, and others were a lot more aggressive. Gap at the front, 6.6 seconds. I'm amazed that gap is as big as it is at the moment. I thought Danilo might have been a little bit closer to Marco in the Sanfilippo battle, but Marco, as you said earlier, the more consistent of the two. Danilo, the faster of the two on one lap pace.
Other way around.
Well, yes, true. You're right. Marco is faster. Danilo a little bit more consistent. You are right. But at the moment, Danilo faster. Marco has driven a fantastic race, and saying that lap there, they've just proven me wrong again. Jody Mills is the one that's, for me, in the biggest trouble right now. More time being lost, and Andreas Nielsen ready to pounce, not quite close enough, but and how many mistakes have we seen from Jody Mills coming up this section here? And another mistake could lose Mills 2 spots.
As simple as that. Could lose 3, could lose 4, could lose 5, because Jody Mills only has 10 seconds ahead of Steve Giori at the moment. So that's just something to keep in mind the longer that this race does go on. And of course, they are just knocking on those final 10 laps to go the next time they cross the line. So maybe for Jody Mills, it's a case of, can I consolidate what I have? And of course, you've got Tamas Shane there, who is doing a great job in 6th place, has been the consistency card in this race, moving through that field. That has been the crucial fact for the way that Tamas Shane has run 6th place. You would say pipe dream for Tamas Shane at the start of racing. 6th place now, and Tamas Shane is going for a season best performance so far on SimSpeed broadcast.
Been a good drive from Shane too, because what started back in 15th position was way back behind that huge 6th place battle. So that was 12th position before the stops. It's gained 6 positions between just before the pit stop started and now. So in the last, 13 laps, it's gained 6 spots. Still 12 laps to go, well, 10 laps to go. So, I mean, still could gain some more.
Absolutely could gain some more, and I just... Oh no, there goes Jody Mills. We were talking about this. Mills around, does the full Grosjean 360. Back away going. Jan Hoffman will pick up a position. Those tyres are going to be hyper-heated up. And Jody Mills, another mistake, and it's a case of death by 1,000 paper cuts at the moment.
Too much curve on the inside, unsettled the car. Around Mills goes, Nielsen goes through, Hoffman goes through, and now we saw that Clayton McLeod and Stefan Chantal were there in their own battle. Oh, Chantal trying to get the move done, because you can see a wounded Jody Mills just up ahead. Thinks, well, maybe I can gain 2 instead of just the 1.
Well, nearly got the move done there through turn 3. He's going to try and have a look down at 5. Nose to the inside, and Stefan Chantal. Oh, no, close. Contact almost there between those two. Too close on the inside, where Chantal had to open up the steering there, and McLeod was not expecting that one coming from one Mr. Stefan Chantal. Move's done, but now Chantal's got to find a way back to Jody Mills for another position out on the road. The point I've been trying to make for about the last 5 laps here, Jay, is with Danilo Sanfilippo. I reckon he's just put the wick down, knowing his main title rival's just run into trouble here at the moment, and thought, well, 2nd position, I know my brother's quicker than me, I can just take some points.
Yep, exactly right. And it's probably eased a little bit of pressure on Marco as well, knowing that Danilo's dropped back a little bit too, so Marco can concentrate on some consistency. Clayton McLeod just doesn't look comfortable at the moment either, does he? Just ever since the pit stop phase, it hasn't looked right, because just dropping positions, and now Giori's right there to get a position too. And I've just also seen that Lewis Marigan lost a spot there to John Pat Kelly, had a moment off the circuit, but they're continuing on. But Nick Giori now find another position. That would be +9 if that does happen.
Yep, and he will get himself back to +9 after losing the position to Stefan Chantal. That's going to be the key here for Steve Giori, and it doesn't look steering-based at the moment for Clayton McLeod. It looks like there is a confidence issue. Either a confidence issue or there is something mechanical that we're not seeing, that there's a lot more drag, something maybe with the floor perhaps, which is really causing all these problems. You can see how much Giori closes up there through turn number 7. Out on track, and this has been the tough bit at Twin Ring. If you can't get it done at turn 5, you wait all the way to 10 or 11, and Giori here, who has been very gentlemanly in this race, will now be hoping that there is an overtake on the horizon.
Well, just remember back to a few laps ago before the pit stops, McLeod, and it was Serpa that made contact together, wasn't it? Wheel-to-wheel contact.
Yes.
And McLeod did come off second best there. You can't see any visible damage, but there's definitely would have to be something more to the car. And as you said, floor or whether wheel alignment or a mild bit of suspension damage. It does not take much in these cars to put the car off pace. So it's that nearly a full second slower is Clayton McLeod to almost everyone around. And McLeod, as you said, is struggling. Just going to try and hold on. Probably will not fight this position too hard. Giori can get up the inside, McLeod might let Giori have it, just knowing that the car's not behaving in his expected way.
I've just seen Jan Hoffman nearly do a Mark Usher on that last lap. He did a 28.9 and very nearly put it into the oval banking there the same way that Mark Usher did. That's brought Jody Mills back in, and crucially Chantal, who was 7/10 quicker that last time by than one Mr. Jody Mills.
How is that car so quick? Have a look at that rear wing.
I know.
It's looks like been made out of paper mache and the cardboard's fallen apart. It's just, there's no
looks
way
like
that car should...
Egg.
Oh, yes. that one you sent me the photo of before.
Yeah.
It does not look right, but for some weird reason, it's just got some pace. I'm guessing the angle that the wing is on is causing some extra downforce and maybe making the car perform better through right-handed corners or something. I don't know, but it's just not how you would expect. And if you saw that, you would not think that that car is, what, third fastest car, fourth fastest car out on track. But it is somehow, and Stefan Chantal is making it work and has made moves and positions and beautiful overtakes despite that damage. It's been an incredible drive. I'll tell you what, I can't believe we've only got 6 laps to go.
I know, they've gone by so quickly, and Stefan Chantal, just pushes slightly wide there through turn 3, and that's how much Stefan Chantal's pushing this vehicle. Yes, it looks like it's been through better days, and it's very much ready to be taken behind the shed, so to speak, but right now, Stefan Chantal is absolutely pushing here to stay with Jody Mills, to have that chance of an overtake. Maybe if Hoffman has a mistake, one more will come in terms of the mix as well, but you can never say never around this track. Remember, those track temps, they've gone up another 2 degrees. They're fighting against the track as well, and that's going to be crucial because that means the hotter this track gets here, Jay, that is more understeer in these vehicles. Understeer, which they wouldn't have predicted for at the start of the race.
Exactly right. And I mean, with the dynamic weather conditions, you don't know what to expect too. You don't have a lot of time to tweak your setup, which plays more into the way that these cars behave than any other car on the iRacing service. You really have to be a little bit more balanced in your setup just based on what is potentially going to happen weather-wise. So, yeah, sure that some drivers have prepared for weather that is warming up throughout the race. Others would have hoped for a more overcast style race. And there's almost contact there between Giori and McLeod, and Giori's not going to get this done this time. Have to work a little bit harder.
And Chantal's through on Jody Mills down the inside at turn 3. So set that up nicely and goes through and gets the move done. Behind that, Giori nowhere close enough to McLeod. But now Chantal tries to match Jan Hoffman in terms of times. That was a good move.
Yeah, Mills actually went a little bit wide through turns 1 and 2, and that allowed Stefan Chantal to potentially get a move done. It's a great job there. Really well set up, as you said. And Stefan Chantal up into 9th. Somehow that car is making moves again. I've said it how many times now. I don't know how that car is as quick as it is, but it is absolutely performing fantastically despite that heavy damage.
Yes, but time now, old Father Time, is just ticking away at Stefan Chantal and this race. Keep an eye out on that battle, third and fourth as well. Remember, that gap is only 2 seconds right now at the moment, and Serpa did a 25.9 and was only 3,000 slower than Piotrowski, but Piotrowski has traffic here on this lap, and that's not going to be helping the number 15 machine. Going to get a great iRacing haul out of it, but Luis Maraghan is a very wise character and knew very early to back off of it, let Piotrowski through. Maraghan is not in any fight anywhere.
Yeah, exactly right. So, no point fighting. No cars ahead, no cars behind. Might as well get out of it. Just chill out, slow down, wait for everyone else around to get through. After that little potential look there, almost contact between McLeod and Giori. Giori's dropped back a little bit now, so I'm wondering if Steve Giori's just a little bit flustered. He can hang on. You know, I better just hang back a little bit here. McLeod's damaged. I haven't got the pace to get through. I'm not going to fight and potentially take him out and myself out. Maybe he's just settling for the position, or maybe giving Clayton McLeod a little bit of false sense of security and getting up for an attack with 2 to go.
Oh, some Jedi mind tricks. Well, we've seen a fair few of those over the season, but for the time being, there's no real point in really waiting too much at this point in time, as these drivers now know they've only got a handful of laps to go. It is 4 to go for Marco Sanfilippo at the front of this field. He picked up the lead on lap number 1, and he has not relinquished it at all, really, in terms of the way that his race was done. He got himself in over the line, and when Mark Usher made the mistake trying to push in on his in-lap, he took full advantage and is in control ahead of his brother by 9.5 seconds here in this race. And for Marco, who has been pretty much in the wilderness, has had a mistake here, a mistake there, didn't have the best race at Canada when he ran into, or had his teammate run into him, had the issues at Laguna Seca. This is the result that Marco Sanfilippo, especially after the Nürburgring as well, he didn't want, he desperately needed.
100%. Hasn't been a consistent season for both of the Sanfilippos, really. They've had a lot of bad luck going against them, or just strange incidents as well for both of them. So, but to have a positive outcome or potential outcome in this race, they're good to see. I must say that there's some battles that aren't solved yet. We were just talking before about Giori and McLeod, but this battle for 6 is not done. Last lap by, Nielsen was, what, 0.3 of a second quicker? Second between them, 3 laps to go. This is on the last lap based on those numbers.
It absolutely is, as is Chantal versus Hoffman, because that was half a second last lap from Chantal on a 25.8. Nielsen takes another 0.2 out of the tank, but Stefan Chantal all of a sudden trying to chase down Jan Hoffman. Hoffman responds with a 25.8 of his own, keeping an arm's length at 1.5 seconds, but Tamashene is looking a little bit behind. Both of whom are quicker at the moment than Alex Ahuya at the moment, but Ahuya, 2 seconds down the road, is managing his gap with 3 laps left. Any mistake from any one of these drivers could end in the disaster that they do not want here to end this race. And they know every single corner is a challenge at the Honda development track that is Twin Ring Motegi.
Well, I'll tell you now that another driver that probably is a little bit stressed about, especially about mistakes, is Jody Mills. I'm wondering too how many incident points Jody Mills has got left, because how many times have we seen Jody off the circuit? Add those into your normal 1Xs that you can get around this circuit just by cutting the second last corner a little bit, which a lot of drivers do. Mills might be in a little bit of trouble in regards to incident points, and right on cue almost looped it around.
Again, Sir Jody Mills, got to be careful here, trying to put the power down early. He gets a kick of the tail, and that's going to cost a little bit of time then. Clayton McLeod's not a million miles away, nor is Steve Giori here, who could have this move with a couple of popsicle sticks then in the air with 2 laps to go around this place at the Twin Ring Motegi, Japan, as they go on through. It's still a lot of great racing, though, available right now. I'm questioning what's happened to Serpa here. He's just in
no
the mix,
back.
but see everyone just close.
Serpa, I thought it was out of the race. I thought it may have been incident points, but just a slight connection issue.
Yeah.
Nielsen's still going. And they're both catching up to Aguirre as well. So I'm wondering if Aguirre may have short-filled the car a little bit and has had to fuel save in this second stint. Remember those guys behind were all in those really, really full-on battles. And the attempt to get the fastest lap on the last lap of the race, Marco's just done it on the second last lap and maybe trying to do it again.
Well, he's got traffic, though. David Cudmore here as the white flag is out for Marco Sanfilippo, leading his brother Danilo at a canter at this moment in time. But the battle for 5th, 6th and 7th between Ahuya, Shane and Nielsen is still on at this point in time. So these three will be looking at this last lap thinking there's a chance at points here, and that gap does not look like 1.5 seconds anymore between Shane and Ahuya. Ahuya over the line, 1:26.4. It's a 26.3 only though for Tamas Shane. The gap down to 1.3 seconds. Behind that as well, Chantal just within a second now of Jan Hoffman, but at the moment not close enough. And then you got Giori and co, who will be having his scrap over to the line. But you have to say for Marco Sanfilippo, this is the result that he needed. He knew that today would have to be hard fought, and when the start wasn't there for Mark Usher, he put him on the back foot immediately. The pressure prevailed, and all of a sudden, Marco Sanfilippo's back in the championship hunt with victory here at the Twin Ring Motegi. It will be a long wait for Danilo here, who's coming through the final couple corners now to get second position overall, and crucially an even longer wait for Stefan Piotrowski. Nielsen, though, in the wheelhouse here, Jay, to get to Tamas Shane.
This is on here for 5th, 6th, 7th. This battle is not solved. Gray is probably happy that those guys behind are in a battle now, because he was in trouble on the lap times. But Nielsen looking very, very close now, maybe close enough to get a move. And also Mills, McLeod, Giori also got very, very close too. Hoffman and Chantal have got close too. So this last lap is absolutely taken off. And it doesn't look like Nielsen's going to be close enough to get a move done. Tried to take the wider line, but wasn't able to capitalise on it. So that battle stays as it was. Chantal not able to get on Hoffman. But I tell you what, Jody Mills is still in trouble. And Mills is slow. Just got the power on, but really feathering the throttle is Jody Mills. Not comfortable in that car, gonna hold on. Cloud will come home in 11th, Giori in 12th. What a race.
A fantastic race then. It's had absolutely everything from top to bottom in terms of the way that this race was run, and a lot of drivers needed to work hard for these results, and these results are going to be crucial the longer that this series goes on. Remember, 4 drop rounds here overall. This is going to be massive for the way that the end of this season is going to be run. So confirmation then of results. Marco Sanfilippo wins in 1 hour, 1 minute and 56 seconds as he wins by 13 seconds over his brother Danilo. A 1-2 for the Sanfilippo brothers. Stefan Piotrowski comes home in 3rd, and he's doing donuts right now because he is so ecstatic with that podium, and he's out of fuel, and as such, no more donuts. Jose Serpa will finish in 4th position, with Alex Ahuya in 5th place. 6th would go to Tamas Shane, up a fantastic 9 places. Your biggest mover, though, would be Andreas Nielsen, 19th, all the way up into 7th place. He was just a few seconds too far back to get anything more. Jan Hoffman, despite a front nose change, he gets 8th place, with Stefan Chantal 9th, with the worst looking rear wing in the world after the damage that he accrued. Jody Mills had it all on lock for 4th place, but ultimately spins galore and mistakes in the latter stages meant that 10th place it would only be. Clayton McLeod got damaged with Jose Serpa. That was 11th in the end for Clayton. Not the result he was looking for after being so high up in the championship. It's 12th place for Steve Giori, who very quietly got about his business. David Cudmore was the last finisher on the lead lap in 13th. But crucially, the guys a lap down. David Thomas, Jan Stratinsky had a quiet race. John Pat Kelly starting from the pits. Luis Maraghan, Adam Webb, who found the pit retaining wall, got the toe and got back going again. Jerry McAreevy also 2 laps down. And the championship leader no longer, Mark Usher, finding the fence all of a sudden, brings this championship into perspective here as we look to the second half of the season. That's how the field all stacked up. But Jay, what's going to be crucial is Circuit of the Americas in a week's time. It's a very similar circuit to this one. And if conditions are anything the same right now, it could be a case of the same, case of something different, could be an entirely different winner this season.
I've got a feeling we're going to see something completely different. Late afternoon conditions as well, so the track will cool off. Opposite of what we've seen here, it'll start hotter and cool off as the track progresses through the day. Getting those tyres cycled in right, getting great pit entry, pit exit, and having the car balance right for that entire race is going to be the three keys to the race. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a very, very interesting race. Not sure how it's going to play out, but I cannot wait to find out.
And the only place you can catch that is on SimSpeed TV. If you haven't already, like, share, subscribe, join us for everything that's going on, as well as go to the iRacing Esports Network, because in terms of Australian time, later on today, we've got the absolutely magnificent V8 Scops Championship, the Virtual Racing School V8 Scops Series, and they're heading to virtual Oran Park because the real one isn't quite there anymore, and that will be something you definitely have to check out on the most wide-open championship that this Scops season has ever seen. But of course, a massive thanks to those who get it done for us here at SimSpeed, first and foremost, to Motum Simulations, who help sponsor with the replays that we have here, and of course for the hard work and determination that has been brought on by all of these drivers in the iRacing Grand Prix Series. That's been Jake Kennedy on cameras and on Colour Comm, so double duty. He's done a fantastic job. I've been Jake Sperry, and the pressure told. And for once, Mark Usher has been shown to be fallible, and that fallacy now turns to the Circuit of the Americas. It's the American leg of the championship, and they know that COTA is a track that is built for racing. And if it's built for racing, then only the truest of racers have that ability to go out and unlock the most potential. We'll see you in a week's time as the championship has taken another turn in the tail.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rhythm, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top. Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled.
It's very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!